Okay, we're live. James Minnick speaking, trainingsites.io. Let me ask you a question. How would you like it if you could automate everything that happens inside your membership site, community, campus, whatever you want to call it? But once someone is in that particular site of yours, that privately branded space where you have all of your content, how would you like it if you could have everything automated in terms of the follow-up and the interaction and the engagement you have with them? Well, today I'm going to show you a neat way to do it with some AI tools or work and some automation software, which um, basically you have to have on whatever campus or community that you're setting up. What am I talking about? I'm talking about a customer relationship management plugin and or service that has two things. The first one is it has automations that you can create. The second one is that it has a tagging system. Now, if you aren't familiar with that, an automation system is basically something that does something on your behalf to a unique individual who is in your contacts. Now, the way that we set the campuses up and the way I set the campuses up is that I use, in my particular case, let me just use my pencil here. Maybe that might be a good way to show it. This is the way that I basically build any of the learning communities, the AI learning communities or the education campuses. This is the way that I personally do it. So I start off and I make sure I focus all my marketing activities on YouTube, right? The reason I want them to be on YouTube is I want people to raise their hand, and I want that people, that audience, I'm going to be careful sometimes when I say stuff there. So I want to make sure that this audience goes to my community, and what they do is they register and become part of the community. Now, the reason I do that, of course, is that once someone raises their hand and say, yeah, this is cool, I want to join the community. Once they do that, I have the person's email address. And technically what I've done is I've purchased your email address. So I do a ton of YouTube videos. Every YouTube video has the focus of going to trainingsites.io/join and join my community. The minute that that happens is I have collected your email address and I've also allowed you to be tagged in my system. Why do I want to do that? Because now I can automate the messages that get sent to you in and around all of the activities and things that are on in the community. Now, what are some of the things that you need to tag, or why is this important? How does it work? And again, this is how I've set it up, and I've done this all using Claude and some prompts at Claude, which I'll share with you to actually build your own automation system. And the reason you want to do this, there's two things that are really important, and I'll show you how I kind of redid this one based on it. If, for example, you kind of follow that process that I was just showing, so you got YouTube, you're doing all this marketing on YouTube, you're creating video, you're getting people to, be part of your audience and subscribe and love your stuff. You get them to go to the campus, your community, your learning community. They opt in, they become part of the community. The reason that that's great is because you have their email address. I purchased the email address by giving away my free content in my community. That part is super. The thing is that and I know this from personal experience. If I go take a look, and this is actually what I did, if I look in my CRM, in my case, I use one called Fluent CRM, which is actually on my WordPress site, which I use to run my campus, my community. If I go and look and see who are the people that opted in, and I take a look at what they've been doing, there's some people who have not even logged in. They joined up, they're part of the community, but they never logged in. They're not engaged, they're not using it. So I don't have time to follow up with them individually. I need a way to make sure that I can make sure that people don't fall through the cracks. I've worked really hard to get them in the community. How do I make sure that they're engaged and that they can go through some kind of process so that they get involved, not only with my community, but with the paid offers that I have? And in my particular case, I have all of my content, DIY content is free, but people pay to have access to the live teaching that I do in the live classes, which is the done for or done with you part of the campus, which is the live classes. And then the other part is after that is I have a done for you service. So I want to make sure that even though those people went in, I want to make sure they're engaged in the community, but I also want to make sure that they have the opportunity to purchase some of the products and services that I actually have available to them. So there's some things that you really need to kind of focus on when you're doing this. And I just want to go quickly over them so you can see how this all kind of plays in place here. So these are maps that I created, show these ones to you. These are the ones that I actually created as part of the prompts that I'm going to share with you here. And these ones are, again, I use mind maps on these. I love mind maps. It's an easy way to show stuff. This is the automation flow that I have. The first thing is I need to be able to tag you when you join the community. Now, tagging is for me, all that it is, it's a way to keep track of, in this case, 4 or 5 things. I need to be able to know each individual person. I don't want to know in general, is someone on a list. I want to know all of these additional pieces of information and identify what's unique to you so that I can provide you the best information. So there's the key 4 ones here are entry and activation tags, content engagement tags, community participation tags, and conversion pathway tags. So these are kind of the 4 big ones, and I'll give you an example of what this is about. I need to know, did you log in? Did you activate your account? I need to know what the status is for you individually. That's the first thing. I also need to know, number 2 is, what part of the site are you consuming? What content are you consuming? In my case, I have 10 courses that are available. Did you enroll in the courses? Did you actually go through some of the lessons? I have a huge prompt library that's available to people. Did you go to the prompt library? Did you go on particular prompt styles or different documents that are in there? Did you download something? So I want to know how you're interacting with the content. And then the third one is I want to know, are you generating content? I'm creating content, but I want you to generate content as well. And that's doing things like being part of the groups, updating your own profile, messaging other people, asking questions, responding to questions, liking stuff. So I want to know if you're participating in that. And then I also want to be able to know about that conversion pathway. So I want to know, where are you going through the site? What's your journey of consuming and interacting? So those are really the 4 key things that I want to make sure that I have a handle on, because if I do that, I have a whole bunch of opportunities to create some automations in the CRM ones. And just to give you an example of how this particular thing works is, let's say here's one, I'll just open up this one here, which is kind of let me just make this one better. So just so that you can see it a little more clearly. So if I have a content engagement one, and I can just say, look, if they create, if they go and take a course or they create a discussion, that's actually a bad idea. But it's content trigger, we should be say create a course, or they have a topic interest in a course. Then what I can do is send them a message or a series of messages about that particular course. So that's just an example of how you can use tagging and then automate some of the follow-ups or things based on the tags that you do or don't have. Now, the other one is like, okay, I've got this. What are the other pieces here? What can happen? What are the flows that you can automate? And I'll show you the automations in a second. So first thing is, I need to know, in this case, I want to be able to know, when do I add a tag? What tags do I add when they register and log in? I also want to know, what did you engage with? Have you been engaging or not engaging? And then I want to know, what did you interact with in any of the emails or messages that I've sent? So I created a bunch of rules that basically says, when you join in, you get a series of tags. When you engage with something, you get some additional tags. So we basically set up, or I had ChatGPT or Claude in this case, put together all of these tags to be able to identify things. And for the first part, what we did, and I'll show you this in the background, is I created a whole bunch of automation sequences of email messages that allow me to automatically send you emails and series of emails without me having to do work for you individually based on the tags that you have. Now, the great thing is once you set this up, it's like you can wash your hands of it, right? The only thing you need to do is go to the reports after and say, hey, people are responding to this or not responding to this. So you may have to kind of tweak the messages a bit. And I will kind of talk about this at the start is, I'm an old school marketer, so I still think personally that the gold standard in any business is an email list. That is your personal thing that you always have, irrespective of a website or anything like that. But you have the ability to reach out to these individuals, get into their inbox, and at least have the opportunity to talk to them, irrespective if they are on your site or see on social media. You're basically in control of communication when you have the email address. Some of the people who are younger may be more about instant messaging and stuff that's on the phone related, or whatever tool it happens to be, whether it's WhatsApp or Instagram or DMing and stuff. But for anything that's kind of business related, my focus is still on email. So I wanted to build out automation sequences that sent out emails based on the tags and getting people engaged in the system. So that's what I'm showing you right here. And in this particular case, I built out 6 kind of sequences, and these are automated so that anytime that a certain tag is applied or removed, these automated sequences run in the background. And once this is created using AI to build out your automations and your email sequences, this is something that you don't have to do again. And this stops people from falling through the cracks. And it gives you the opportunity to continually sell to people based on what they're doing or not doing. So let me just give you an example on how some of these work. So I have a welcome series actually that goes out. Everyone gets this, and they have for a while. And in case if you if you haven't been to the site, let me just pull up it again as an example, just so that we have it. When you go to trainingsites.io, this community, there's a lot of stuff in here. So I actually have 8 emails that go out over 14 or 15 days after you sign up that basically do a couple things. One is make sure you know where everything is, make sure that you know how the menus work, ask you to update your profile, uh, enroll in a course, watch some videos for an orientation tour, how to get involved in the spaces. So that's called an onboarding sequence. That's already there. So that goes out. And the thing that's frustrating to me as a community or campus owner is that even though that is there, some people won't log in, even though they've raised their hand already. They just won't log in. So I want to make sure that anyone that's there, I'm in a position where I can get re-engaged with them. And this is an example of one that is created on our site, and I'll show you what's happening with it right now. But this particular one says, hey, if they have the register, so that means, remember, anyone registers the first time, they get a tag that says lead mag register, but they don't have the member login. So I have a tag that says if someone logs in, make sure they have MBR login tag. If they don't log in, they won't have this. So this automation gets triggered when they have registered, but they haven't logged in. So the moment that happens, what happens is they get 5 emails over 14 days. And the reason, I want them to log in. I don't want them to fall through the crack. So they get 5 emails over the 14 days. And if after email number 2, they actually log in, what it does is it assigns a member login tag and then stops the automation. So this isn't me following up. This is an automation that once it's set, it automatically happens in the background. I don't have to worry about it again. So another one, for example, is number 3 here, which is one that's a 90-day re-engagement one. So let's say, for example, someone has been on the site and they logged in a couple times, maybe, for a month they got involved, and then they kind of just disappeared. They haven't been there in a while. What this one does is I have a trigger or an automation that basically says, if they don't log in for a period of time, in this case 90 days, add member stale to their contact record. If member stale is on their contact record, what happens is the minute that happens, they get 6 emails over 14 days, and the emails say, hey, we've missed you, come on back. So there's a series of messages that get there. And of course, the purpose is to get people who haven't logged in for the last 90 days. I want to get them back logged in into the system so that they're involved in the community. And if they get in and they start doing stuff on the site, they automatically get the status reactivated tag, and then this automation stops. So those are just 6 examples that have been set up now. And these are the ones that I'll just be turning on. And these are the ones that might apply to you if you are a member. And maybe you got started, maybe you got sidetracked. Who knows what happened? But at some point, I just want to make sure that all of this is automated. Now, why do I want to do this? I worked really hard at creating content. I was using AI tools to do all that, created some great content. But unless I can get the community portion, and more importantly, the user-generated content started in the community, that's where the real value is, especially when we're at a point right now where creating content is pretty straightforward. We can use tools. I've covered in a couple other videos. If you give me a topic, for a course, I could probably create a course in an afternoon right now using a tool like Manus IM, which I did, I think it was last week now or earlier in the week. Basically, I created a course start to finish, including a website, just from a single prompt description on Manus, which is an AI agent. So the ability to get this community going, get people involved in it and engaged, that I think is the real value in an education business now, not necessarily the content. I'm not saying don't create content, but think of it, if you're from a business perspective, your ability to create an engaged community is where your long-term value is kind of moving forward. So let me just show you kind of what these look like in the background, and I'll open up a couple of these automations so that you can kind of see it. So here's one here. Let me just show you a simple one. So here's some examples. Again, I'm just going to show you these on the screen. This is in the back end of Fluent CRM. One of the ones here, you can see I've got where my mouse is moving here. I've got a login or welcome series, a no login re-engagement, a 90-day re-engagement, the long-term re-engagement, the morning check-in, and the community challenge ones. So in this particular case, if it opens up, in this particular case, it automatically it's called the welcome series. If they have new password and campus free, which happens when you register for free on the site, you automatically get the campus onboarding series, which is a series of emails that I was talking about, those 8 ones. And I actually add you to some communities in on the site. This happens automatically. If you're a free user, you get certain access. If you're a paid user, you get access to some additional ones. And then the sequence runs. So this is an automation that's done start to finish. I don't have to worry about it. It just happens. And this is all about the onboarding and welcome you to the site. This is the one that's there. That one's running perfect, but still some people may not actually log in or get involved. So I got to make sure that I can say, hey, you know what? We need a little bit more here to help out. If that's the case, what happens is they get added to the no login re-engagement one. And the way that that one works is I have a little automation that runs once a day that says if someone, in this particular case, has not logged in the last 14 days and doesn't have that member login tag to know that they did it in 14 days, I wait one day and then I have a sequence of emails that get sent out, which are the ones I was just talking about that I had, in this case, Claude create the text for the emails, but it starts and it stops. There's a goal here in green. It says, you know what? If they do happen to log in, stop it without sending any of the additional emails for that. So these are the things that happen in the background. And the cool part is that these automations, steps and sequences and tags, I didn't come up with them. I worked with Claude to actually build out these series and sequences that work specifically for my community and my campus. So these are the kinds you kind of think of. It's like, no, more content, more content. No, not more content. You have to understand what's going on in your community, get people engaged in the content that you have created, but also get people to participate in the actual community where the value is. So I'm going to continue to do some videos. I'll actually show you, I think on this one, let me just see if I can pull this one up, just to show you where this was actually getting done up. And I'll go over this one in a little bit of detail later on. Let me just do this one here, just so that we can see it okay. So here's actually, I have a project in Claude in this particular case. And the project is all about, I'll open it so you can see it. This project is all about the training site email automations and sequences. And basically, I've been working on through this, create taggings for student tagging, ideas for education business, automation flows, tags, and emails. So basically working on this and just kind of, saying, hey, this is what I want to do, put it together, and how does this actually work? And putting all the tags together, organizing the tags, just going back and forth to let it know what was done. We basically got those maps that I showed you earlier. So let me just do one. Simplified tag-based approach for no long and so what tags, if they, for the process, what tags do I need? What sequence do I need? Do I bulk tag? How to get started, log cleanup, manual. We went through, put this all together because I was just explaining these are the things that I wanted to have happen. And if you do this once, again, the automatic stuff all happens in the background. You can focus on doing all that great content that you love doing, I know you love doing, but the ability to get your community going and engaged and not let people fall through the tracks is important. That you have to have a CRM system and a tagging system and automations like these built out. So I know I get talking on this stuff a while. It is kind of cool. It does take a little bit of energy, time, and effort, but it's energy, time, and effort well spent. And you should please go and use AI tools like Claude, like ChatGPT, and now Manus.im, which would be able to do all of this for you just with a simple prompt. And hopefully in the next couple of weeks, go and actually add it to the automations that I was just showing you. So my name's James, trainingsites.io. Make sure to join the community. It's free to join. I'd love to help you in and help you start, build, and grow your education business. So take care. Expect the best.